When the Nuremberg trials prosecuted Nazi doctors, the world said never again. But there was another facility hidden deep in Japanese-occupied Manchuria, one that made those experiments look restrained by comparison. Its leaders never stood trial. Its victims never received justice. And for decades, the full truth remained buried. Between 1936 and 1945, thousands of innocent men, women, and children were subjected to experiments so cruel that even historians still struggle to describe them. 580,000 deaths, not from bombs, not from combat, but from science turned into horror. This is Unit 731, Japan's secret biological warfare program, and one of the darkest operations in human history. Before we continue, this documentary contains detailed descriptions of human experimentation and war crimes. No graphic images will be shown, but the facts themselves are deeply disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. To understand how such horror became possible, we must first understand how Japan's pursuit of empire gave birth to Unit 731. In the mid-19th century, Japan opens borders to the modern world. After centuries of isolation, the country faced a sobering truth. Western empires had carved up Asia. China, once powerful, was humiliated by foreign occupation. Korea and Manchuria became the next targets. Japan's leaders made a decision: modernize or be conquered. Within decades, Japan built a modern army, navy, and scientific community. But behind the pride of progress came paranoia, a fear that Western powers could do to Japan what they'd done to China. The solution? Expansion. By the 1930s, Japan had invaded Manchuria, establishing a puppet state called Manchukuo. It was there that science became a weapon. Japan's army wanted to conquer territory without losing soldiers. To do that, they needed knowledge of biological warfare. And one ambitious army doctor claimed he could deliver it. His name was Shiro Ishii. Born in 1892, Shiro Ishii was brilliant, arrogant, and utterly convinced of his destiny. A graduate of Kyoto Imperial University, he specialized in microbiology and infectious disease. Ishii believed biological weapons could change the future of warfare, killing enemies silently, efficiently, and cheaply. In 1932, Ishii persuaded Japan's military to fund a new research program under the guise of epidemic prevention and water purification. The name was harmless. The mission was not. Using military funds, Ishii constructed a massive facility on the outskirts of Harbin, Manchuria. Its official name, Unit 731. Its true purpose, to weaponize disease. The facility at Pingfong was vast. Over 150 buildings, laboratories, barracks, and incinerators. Inside, scientists in white coats moved like doctors, but their patients were not there to be healed. They were called Maryuta. In Japanese, Maryuta means logs. That was how Unit 731 referred to human beings, as if they were nothing more than test material. The victims included Chinese civilians, Korean prisoners, and Soviet POWs. Some were accused of espionage. Others were simply taken from nearby villages. They were never seen again. Estimates vary, but historians believe that between 3,000 and 12,000 people were killed inside Unit 731, and through the deployment of its weapons. As many as 580,000 civilians across Asia lost their lives. These were not the actions of rogue soldiers. They were government-sanctioned science. What happened inside those walls defies imagination. In the next couple of minutes, we'll reveal the horrifying experiments conducted under the name of research, and how human suffering became a tool of war. Make sure you're subscribed to Crimes and Clues and tap the bell to continue this journey into truth. The first experiments at Unit 731 appeared scientific. Researchers claimed they were studying disease prevention, how the human body reacted to extreme environments. But the goal wasn't to heal. It was to learn how to kill more efficiently. Prisoners were marched into freezing rooms, their arms dipped in icy water until flesh turned white and solid. Some were thawed with hot air, others with open flames just to record which method caused greater tissue damage. Temperatures reached minus 40 degrees Celsius. Subjects were ordered to clench their fists as their fingers blackened, then forced open to measure how far frostbite could travel before death. Others were placed in pressure chambers, mimicking high altitude until blood vessels burst under the strain. Some endured heat chambers where temperatures exceeded 150 degrees Fahrenheit. The goal: chart the limits of human endurance. Data later compared to field soldiers. By 1939, Unit 731's research expanded beyond individuals to entire populations. Its mission: to weaponize disease. Ishii's team cultivated tons of plague bacteria. Fleas were infected, bred by the millions, and loaded into ceramic bombs. In 1940, Japanese aircraft dropped them over the Chinese city of Ningbo. Within weeks, tens of thousands of civilians were dead. Cholera and typhoid bacteria were poured into village wells. Anthrax spores contaminated livestock pastures. The field tests proved one thing: biological warfare worked. At its peak, Unit 731 produced enough plague material each month to kill entire cities. None of this was theoretical. It was deployed. The most infamous experiment at Unit 731 took place inside its operating theaters. Prisoners were taken there under the pretense of medical examination. They never returned. Doctors performed vivisections, the dissection of living humans to observe disease progression without anesthesia. Organs were removed one by one as victims remained conscious. These were not medical records. They were execution logs. Pregnant women were infected with diseases to observe fetal transmission. Limbs were amputated and reattached to the opposite side. Some were injected with animal blood to test compatibility. It was science devoid of morality. An empire's cruelty masked as curiosity. By the end of the war, thousands had died inside Unit 731. But the horror didn't end there. The truth would soon be buried deeper than the victims themselves. What happened after Japan's surrender was almost as shocking as the crimes themselves. The perpetrators destroyed the evidence and then made a deal with the world's most powerful nation. Subscribe to Crimes and Clues and tap the bell so you don't miss what happened when justice was traded for science. August 1945. Japan is on the brink of surrender. The empire that once stretched across Asia is collapsing, but at a remote compound in Manchuria, one final order is issued: erase everything. Laboratories are demolished, documents burned, prisoners executed to silence them forever. Within days, Unit 731 ceases to exist on paper. When Allied forces arrived in Harbin, they found ruins and nothing else. No survivors, no records, just whispers of what had been done. After the war, the world demanded justice. Nazi doctors faced trial in Nuremberg for their human experiments. But in Japan, there were no such trials. Why? Because the United States government struck a deal. In exchange for Unit 731's research, including data from human experiments, General Douglas MacArthur granted Shiro Ishii and his team full immunity from prosecution. American intelligence believed the data could give them an edge in biological warfare during the Cold War. The very same knowledge born from torture became classified military intelligence. While Nazi doctors were hanged, Shiro Ishii lived comfortably in Tokyo, reportedly lecturing at universities and consulting for pharmaceutical companies. The scientists of Unit 731 didn't face justice. They were rewarded for their crimes. To this day, Japan's government has never issued an official apology for Unit 731. In school textbooks, the topic is often reduced to a few sentences or omitted entirely. Survivors' families and historians continue to demand acknowledgement, but their calls are often met with silence. The Chinese government still uncovers chemical weapons left behind by Ishii's team. Decades later, they continue to cause injuries and sometimes death. What began as science became genocide. What should have ended with justice ended with denial. Unit 731 stands as proof that knowledge without ethics becomes evil. The victims of this atrocity had no graves, no names recorded in history books, only the faint echoes of truth that people still fight to uncover. To forget them is to risk repeating the same darkness. Remember their stories, honor their pain, demand the truth. If stories like this matter to you, hit subscribe to Crimes and Clues and turn on the bell. Each documentary we make keeps these forgotten truths alive. Drop a comment below. Do you believe nations should be forced to confront their darkest pasts? Your voice helps history remember what others tried to erase.
Bye.